The next principle which the Lord is speaking about is austerity, the body, celibacy, and non-violence. Celibacy is a very powerful principle. The stricter we are on this front, the swifter we will be in our progress in spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada explains in Second Chance. That just by following this one principle very strongly, 50% of the spiritual journey is done. I believe 50%, Prabhupada says, as far as I understand. 50% is done just by following this one principle. That means that the amount of positive energy it creates will take care of 50% of our spiritual advancement. I believe it is 50%. Second Chance Prabhupada speaks that. The sex life, just by putting a full stop, half will be automatically done. The putting a full stop to sex life, half is automatically done. Anyways, Prabhupada speaks sex life, licit or illicit, both is troublesome. No? So whatever it is, licit or illicit, both are entangling and troublesome. If one can conquer over this one domain, or if one can actually hold himself or follow this one domain strongly, then the spiritual life becomes easier. Obviously, with the regulated sex life, there is a pathway of purification and getting out of it. There is a pathway of purification and getting out of it. But the whole point is that one should be strict on this principle. What is the meaning of strictness? The meaning of strictness is that, you see, strict or tight, stringent means what? That any small discrepancy and a very powerful action should be taken. Is that right? That means that, okay, there is it's stringent, it's strong. Is it not? Small discrepancy, strong action. Is it not? So which means what? That any small disturbance, even if it comes on a mental level, a sadhaka should take a strong step to get out of it. To a strong step so that's the meaning of strictness, is it not? Small discrepancies seen seriously. Why? Because if one is so even a thought, if you don't work on it, if you don't shirk it off, if you don't shoot it at that stage, it grows. Is it not? Thought becomes words, words become deeds. And if you still don't take heed, it becomes a permanent seed. Is it not? It becomes a vasana. 75. Proper says 75. I was in doubt 50 or 75. Proper is saying 75. Yes, 75% of spiritual life is done just by conquering over this. Yes. Yes. 75% free from material entanglement. Only 25% more remains. 75%. Prabhupada is speaking. Second Chance Prabhupada says. Here only Prabhupada says licit or illicit, both are problematic. So if one can just follow this principle of celibacy very strongly, it can give tremendous advancement in Krishna consciousness. Tremendous advancement. One will feel himself so light, as if as if one is made up of some anti-gravity particles, like that. So yeah. Anti-gravity particles, and things are so light, and one can actually, with a soaring speed, one can go towards Krishna actually. And the more one is dealer on this ground, the more difficult it becomes to actually move forward in Krishna consciousness. This is the point. Therefore, one has to be strong. Uh, Therefore, that is the reason why in the definitions of brahmacharya, it is explained that there are these 8 levels of sex. It starts with the thought, the thought. So why? Because why that all that level gradations are being talked about? Because if we cannot fight at the level of the thought, it will then percolate to grosser and grosser and grosser. Become grosser and grosser and grosser. So one should be very tight. It's just like no? So one should be very tight. Any infiltration there, immediately shoot it. See, this is like border, no, India-China border, like that. No? So any infiltration, just shoot. If you don't shoot, you may get shot. It's as simple as that. Is it not? It's a tensed border, like that. So any infiltration, any thought of sense gratification, one should take strong action to get rid of it. See that it doesn't percolate. See it doesn't stay. See that it doesn't pop up. Like that. So that one has to be strong on that. Same as non-violence. Why non-violence? Why? Because violence is actually the consequence of anger, and anger is very dangerous. Because anger destroys intelligence immediately. So yeah, anger is like a nuclear weapon. It starts a genetic problem. So because you see, the person gets succumbed to anger. It is very difficult for such person to come out. Sometimes you've seen railway stations. Sometimes people fight. They're fighting for a small cause. One fellow brushed against him, so he's fighting. Fighting. Then 10 people are holding one fellow. 10 people are holding another fellow. Still, the mouth is going on. Like that. And the moment one finds himself loosened a little bit, again he goes. And again he starts fighting. So person doesn't leave it, is it not? Doesn't leave it. So that's anger is very dangerous actually. So therefore one should be better non-violent. Non-violence. No giving any fodder to anger to grow actually. So yeah, anger is very dangerous actually. Because anger is condensed. No, it is anger is explosion of lust basically. Is it nothing else? So basically lust when it explodes, it's anger, no? So it's explosion. Lust exploding in a shabby way is called as anger. Like that. So these are austerities of the body, like that. Now, yeah. So the first principle to follow is that okay, if one happens to be angry, one should understand anger is like a vomit, like that. We don't vomit in a classroom. We don't vomit in front of others. When vomiting comes, put a hand on his mouth and run to some isolated place. Is it not? So there you vomit out, wash your mouth, come back. Is it not? Same thing, same treatment has to be done with anger. Feel angry, you should go lock ourselves. We feel when we get peaceful and cool down, then we can come out. Is it not? That's how it should be actually. Otherwise, a lot of damage. A lot of damage. So non-violence, very important principle. Not to cause any harm. Okay, let's go ahead with the austerities of speech then. So these austerities of the body will have a profound effect on one's consciousness. And it set the ground for following the subtle things easier, in an easier fashion. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting the Vedic literature. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the mind of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. This is penance as far as talking is concerned. The process of speaking in spiritual circles is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he is saying. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ear. By such discussions, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate the human society. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this. This is called as a penance of speech. Oh, this is very beautiful. The austerity of speech. So we summarize this austerity of speech by the acronym PTSB. It's an AND gate. It's not an OR gate. So whatever you speak has to pass these 4 tests. Is it pleasing? Is it truthful? Is it shastric? And is it beneficial? Will it help the person or will it damage the person? PTSB. Yeah, pleasing, truthful, shastric, and beneficial. So PTSB are so it's an AND operator. AND operator. All of them have to be there. Is it not? So only one we follow or 2 we follow, then it will be dicey. It won't be no, we will fall trap. It will be faulty. All of them have to be followed, then it is very nice. Is it not? Like say for example, only one you have to follow. All Prajalpa is very pleasing. Is it that? Very pleasing, is it not? So 2 devotees will come and sit, and one will come. Hey Prabhu, do you know what is happening? What is happening? What is happening? So do you know this Maharaj? What happened? What happened? What happened? Everybody very much interested. All ears are erect. Is it not? But somebody will say, Prabhu, Om Gyan Timirandasya, and everybody will say, oh, no. Some say. So you see the point. The point is just pleasing is a trap. Just pleasing is a trap. Truthful. But truth can be very harsh. Therefore, truthful and pleasing both are said. Is it not? Truth, which is pleasing. Is it not? Which is pleasurable. Is it not? Truth, which is pleasing, which is beneficial, which is beneficial as well. So now this is and the ultimate aspect is shastric. So human society is very expert in making systems without God. Yeah? So making systems without God, right? So making systems without God. Therefore, the Shastras have to be included. It has to be Shastric, is it not? So, yeah. But sometimes, we can see that sometimes people misquote Shastras, no? Like, some months back, there was this, the infection of the virus of, this virus didn't came from Wuhan, this virus came from Vrindavan, you know? The PSD virus, the PDS virus, is it not? The pure devotee, virus, is it not? So this virus spreads very fast. It spreads very fast actually, and very dangerous virus actually. Pure devotee, like that. So you see, they were quoting Shastras. It was very Shastric that yeah, it was very Shastric that one has to only cry for a pure devotee, and nobody is a pure devotee on this planet. So I mean, that was no, only Prabhupada was the last pure devotee, something like that. And and one can say, okay, it is saying, Mahabhagavad, pure devotee, it's very It appears to be. So there is a lot of misquote of Shastras there, is it not? Even Zakir Naik would quote Shastras. If you remember, there was a person called as Zakir Naik, and he became very famous. So he became famous. Why? Because he was quoting Shastras. So just Shastrik is not the point, is it not? Just Shastrik, because the person. So it has to be truthful also, is it not? You cannot misquote the Shastras. So if you misquote the Shastras, it won't be truth, is it not? It has to be truthful, is it not? No. Truth can be harsh, so it has to be pleasing also, is it not? Uh, uh, and everything just like now it has to be beneficial also. Now something which is not beneficial and it is other things. Say suppose we raise controversies, okay, so we raise a controversy of moon landing. Did man actually land on moon? Actually it seems that man landed on moon, so it is very pleasing, there may be some truth, we land on moon, don't land on moon, like that. And but it's controversy, is it not? So it's not going to be beneficial to the person, is it not? Like that. It has to be beneficial also. What benefit it can give to a person, is it not? Like sometimes some weird questions, probably say absurd inquiries, so they may be pleasing because anything out of the box one likes it, like that. They may be truth, Mishastrik probably, and but maybe not be beneficial. Esoteric subject matters may be pleasing, may be truthful, may be Shastrik, but they are not beneficial. Discussing Vidagda Madhav, what else is there? Lalit Madhav, Radha Madhav. Radha Madhav one can discuss. Lalit Madhav, Vidagda Madhav one should not, no? So Radha Madhav, okay. So you see some esoteric pastimes. One way very pleased. Oh, I'm getting to hear some very, so how Radharani dressing, how Krishna dressing, Radharani dressing, and all that. But it is not beneficial. What one needs to know is, okay, how to control your senses first, is it not? What one needs to know, how to get up in the morning first, is it not? How to offer obeisances to Vaishnavas first. How to control Vachavegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, is it not? Udarpasta Vegam. So that is beneficial, is it not? So therefore, so esoteric, raising esoteric pastimes or raising some controversial aspects of Krishna consciousness, uh, uh, maybe truth, maybe pleasing, but not beneficial.
You mix it with some the clarity, that cannot be said. That cannot be said. So by that we cannot able to balance.
So Acharya explained that actually the two things are linked. One's fallen position and Krishna's glorious position both are linked to each other. If you overemphasize on the fallen position of the person, he may go into inferiority. Poor fellow may get completely broken up. But if you overemphasize on Krishna's glorious position, it means the same thing. But the person will be able to very happily take it up. Is it not? Does it make sense? So if we, so the point is that so both are linked. The more one understands and appreciates the glories of Krishna, naturally one will feel, the less one will feel himself, the more one will feel himself very insignificant. Is it not? Like that. So rather than thrusting that, okay, you're faulty, you're insignificant, we lay a positive thrust on how Krishna is so glorious. Is it not? Like that. So sometimes, if you bring things, bringing Krishna in picture, then things start working out with nicely. So Like say for example, if devotees are not much uh, say devotees are not working very hard for a festival, say for example, is it not? You know, so uh, so rather than bringing no, rather than taking a whip and lashing everyone, other you fellows, you lazy bums and all that, no, that may not be the best way of working. So probably a best way of working is to maybe discuss a festival from Chaitanya Charitamrita, how devotees work hard for it. Is it not? And so people get inspired. Is it not? Like Kheturi festivals, for example, no? How devotees worked hard for that Kheturi festival. They how they were not doing what level of Atiti Satkar. uh, so sometimes some devotees feel okay calling a senior devotee is a burden. No, oh, you have to, so much money has to be spent. You have to make yourself available. So now, how do you bring that point? You bring it from the top. You bring it from bottom. So bringing from the top is always good because it brings waves of inspiration that way. So that's how it is. Like say for example, there was one of our senior devotee teachers, and he would always say that okay, if uh, suppose you have to tell something to someone, if you tell him directly, my dear Prabhu, you better behave yourself, you're not following, nicely. It may hit him very badly. Oh, yeah, like that. So he said you can bring about that principle in a class. It is a very non-intimidating way of making the point. Person will understand. Oh, like that. And person will understand. Sometimes devotees come and say, Prabhu, I just felt what a class today. It was an eye opener for me. I just felt that the class was being, it was just reflecting a mirror of my life. I could relate to that mirror. It was such an awakening for me. Thank you. Now what we will say, अरे आप ही के लिए बोला गया था ना. So, good, you got eye opener. That was a good point. No, so sometimes that works in a non-intimidating way. Is it not? Yeah, like Narad Muni is talking. So you see how sensitively Narad Muni is speaking about Maharaj Prachin Bari. You know, so you see that he goat, she goat, and all that. The goat, and Prachin Bari is feeling, अरे मेरा life ऐसी लग रहा है ना. And Narad Muni not telling, अरे तुम्हारा ही life है और क्या है ना. और किसका life बता रहे हैं ना. And Prachin Bari gets inspired. He takes it up. और directly बोलते तो he would have got offended. He would say ये क्या है ना. Uh, so that is the point actually. So you see, sensitivity is important principle, is it not? The truth and pleasing means sensitivity.
But it should not be flattering. Proper flattering.
So it is not flattering.
Truth should not be shown to टेढ़ा मेढ़ा everything. Truth. Flatter कैसे करना है? Teach children and say that that's the. You cannot hold. Like proper American guy, proper को लोग शिक्षा देते हैं. ऐसे मत बोलो, ये फॉलो करने को मत बोलो, फॉलो करने को मत बोलो. लोग आएंगे. Proper ने बोला था कि.
So proper the
I came to teach, not to.
positive side of things. When we actually when we present things from a humble disposition, people are able to take it in, like that. And humility measured mixed with the service attitude makes many things digestible for people. Makes many things digestible for people. Is that not?
Second line of proper thing. Teacher, for the benefit of student, will speak better. But certain teachers should not speak to those who are not his students because it will affect their mind. So once when Bhakti Baba from came to Chandigarh, he was mentioning a point that one should not try to correct or confuse the person's mind. So it implies that okay, we know, but other person we are seeing not practicing properly. If we are not the authority or we are not the valuer or we are not the in good terms with that person, so we should not be person will not take it in a healthy spirit. That
Yes.
you know that other person is telling for my benefit. If there is no relation, and other point is our family takes us कि हमको क्या ही आता होगा. So we should not try to preach to our family ourselves, but when we take help of other Vaishnavas, when the other Vaishnavas speak to our family members, they take him that seriously. And even if we are telling them, हमको तुम सिखाओगे हम लोग.
Yes, one should not preach to those who are not his student, but even to one's own student, one should be sensitive. So one should be sensitive. Anything which is spoken in a very good way, people are able to take it. Not like that. So if it is spoken nicely, properly, now giving some positive hope to the person, then a person, giving a help to the person will take it up. So like sometimes to children, they do an exercise, this exercise is done on children, like that. It's a small child, and sometimes the mother is telling the child, uh, so the mother is telling, "Oh, Lulu, 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 you are such a rascal." The child is, is very much happy. You are good for nothing. You're such a fool. So the child is really laughing. Is it that? So now we may say this works for the child, but actually this works for everyone. This is psychology. Human psychology goes like that. When something is told properly, nicely, mixed with humility and mixed with service attitude, then everyone can accept it. So the people are able to accept that this will help me cure. Is it not? No. Like you see a doctor, how he gives medicine to the patient. No, the doctor is encouraging. He's saying, "Oh, you're a brave boy, you're a brave girl," like that, and it's just out at the doorstep, and the problem is just over, and he will just make them talk here and there, and in between pain is there. But with pain, what can be done with the pain? Is it not? But you give positive encouragement, the person is ready to go through it.
And the same patient
Go through
comes
it.
again without taking the medicine, the same doctor give him very good lesson. Last time I told you, and the patient is not following the doctor's prescription. The doctor knows do become medicine with such a hard hurt. Our doctor has done a very nice operation, very difficult surgery, and after that also if the patient is experimenting or risking the health, the doctor को तो बहुत दुखाएगा, फिर डॉक्टर को आता है इतनी मुश्किल take it together. Like one of our patients in Kolkata, first time retinal detachment attach करके दिया, पोजीशन बोला मेंटेन नहीं किया, दवाई बोला मेंटेन नहीं किया, अगली बार फिर डिटैचमेंट लेकर, फिर डॉक्टर they also get frustrated.
No, okay, so the question is, doctors also get frustrated. Patients don't follow the instructions. We just took one analogy from a doctor. I mean, we are not wanting to adopt the entire practice set of a doctor. Actually, because doctors also condition fellows engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. But what we are saying is that even when there is pain and there is proper encouragement, the person will be able to take it up. That is the point. So by default, now can one treat his own students any way he likes? This is a controversial point, and it has to be very sensitively undertaken. Very, very sensitively undertaken. So one has to be. So there is no question of commenting or critiquing anybody else, but one's own students, does one have full right on that? Uh, uh, So, frankly speaking, one does not have full right even on his own students. Therefore, the Vaishnava etiquette say that one should keep on investing, and in between one should scoop out when it is very necessary. In general, one should keep on investing in the person, encouraging the person, like that. So therefore, actually, Vaishnava behavior should be always mixed with humility and service attitude, like that. And a very humble disposition, if one presents something which is when one offers correction, the other person can take it up in a proper spirit, like that. It is good to be when it is safer to be It is safer to be polite and gentle than to be bossy and forceful that way. So what can be digested, what cannot be digested, that very much depends on how much you have invested in the person. Uh, for one who doesn't invest, even a small delta correction will also break things apart. But if there is a lot of investment, even if he beats the other person, he'll take it up in the right spirit. So like it happens in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is it not? Sometimes mother beats, the child takes it up, but sometimes some children go and commit suicide also nowadays. That also happens. Or in the West, some children kill their parents also. That also happens. So yeah, it happens. Happens. Yeah. So all so everyone has so we have to be careful. So best is to and whenever we are not sure whether to launch or not, better to discuss. And if at all we are we feel that we should try it, then maybe give a little bit and see what is the reaction. If the person takes it in a proper spirit, he is getting improved, okay, you can give the next dose, but little bit you show the trailer and the other person gives he takes all the weapons and declares the world war, and immediately you can surrender. You can say, no, you are right. Very nice. All of this is you. All your demands are signing. You be peaceful. No world war. Is enough for the cause of humanity. Right. So that's a point. Like that. So ultimately, we see everything from what impact it can create. If it can help to the degree it helps, to that degree we can go. When we see that it is not helping anymore, we have to change the ways and trajectories. That's the point. So therefore Prabhupada would say actually that whenever we explain something, so we don't give any dictates to people. We should explain why we are saying what we are saying. We should quote from the Shastra. We should explain to them what is going to happen if you follow that. We show them very nice contrast. We involve their intelligence in trying to evaluate, and then we give them the choice. So in that case, we are bringing about a lot of positivity. Is it not? We are bringing about a lot of positivity. So many times, actually, people have a rational side, and things are very nicely, properly, explained. People can take it up and improve. A lot of it is done by that. A lot of it is done by that. And if somebody is stubborn, then probably see, Vidurji did a very strong treatment, but for many decades he was investing. Is it not? He was investing for such a Vidurji never left him lifelong. See, Dhritarashtra was at the end of his life. Is it not? So if you see Vidurji, amazing patience. Is it not? That is a follow-up candidate. Vidurji was a powerful follow-up candidate. My God, he didn't leave even the C grade candidate. Yeah, the Dhritarashtra was C grade, D grade. Is it not? So not C grade, he was D grade actually. Now in our follow-up, a D grade we immediately remove that day only. Is it not? So Vidurji is taking a C grade, D grade fellow and dragging him for so many decades. Now hats off to him. Is it not? Therefore, you see, he could knock him out of the material world. Dhritarashtra goes back to Godhead. That's why his name is there in Bhagavatam. Again, Dhritarashtra quits home. He is going home, back home. Is it not? So it was very amazing. Is it not? So Vidurji is a good follow-up candidate actually. So therefore, in speech, one has to be careful. In speech, one has to be careful. You remember those days we discussed on years back when we were discussing about Sukadev Maharaj. Sukadev Maharaj not mentioning the that how the Brajavasis very sweetly went back to Dwarika. So Parikshit Maharaj at the end of his life, and Parikshit Maharaj's family members, they went to Godhead in a very horrifying style. They fought. It was a fratricide of war. They fought, in a drunken state, and they killed each other, the Yadus. So it was a little horrifying end. But actually, Brajavasis, how they went back. Krishna went back to Vrindavan, is it not? We hear. And Krishna went back to Vrindavan. All the gopis were married to Krishna once again officially, and in a very loving way, sweet way, they went back. But this Sukdev Goswami is not mentioning. He's a parrot of Radha, he's not mentioning any of these pastimes. Why? Why? Because in front is Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj should not feel remorseful. Oh, my family members, they met such a, they met such a, I mean, they went back to Godhead, but in a very horrifying way. And so just so that he doesn't, that there should not be no disturbance in his mind, Sukadev Maharaj is not mentioning only. But we hear from the other acharyas, these pastimes, that Krishna went back to Vrindavan. After the Yadus were killed, Krishna went back to Vrindavan. Very nicely and sweetly he sent all the Brajavasis back. So that was sweet. This was ghastly. So did the Yadus kill after Krishna left or before Krishna left? I don't know. I think before Krishna left.
Krishna left, Arjuna went there to see that Krishna is not there and that's your bad situation. And Yudhishthira Maharaj not feel right.
No, the Yadus left before Yadus fought before Krishna left. That's why it is said. Then Krishna after that is going to Vrindavan, and after going to Vrindavan, he comes back and he meets Uddhavji at last. And Krishna is telling Uddhavji to stay back, and Krishna told Uddhavji to go to Badrikashram. So Uddhavji goes to Badrikashram. He goes to Badrikashram for what? To meet Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni is asking questions, Uddhavji will answer, not like that. And in that way, explaining the pastimes of Krishna, Uddhavji is a little pacified. It comes in Bhagavatam. So Krishna is meeting Uddhavji at the last, and Krishna is telling, I am going. But you stay here. So he sends him to Badrikashram, and then after that, Krishna disappears. So that means that before Krishna is left, both the Yadus and the Brajavasis all were sent back to the spiritual world. Brajavasis very sweetly, Yadus very ghastly. But that should happen. That's quite interesting. So this is sensitivity, is it not? This is sensitivity. This is basically what is sensitivity. So so why? Because so that so it was very nice, the description of how the ending pastimes of the gopis would have been pleasing